ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूपागदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you everyone for joining on a Sunday. It was such a short notice, but you have tried and joined. That's really nice. So we have finished the like almost half of chapter 18. So let's start. The perfection of renunciation. Before we begin, let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada. And then we'll go over the summary. So what we are going to discuss in this chapter. This is like a mega summary we are getting in this chapter, because Bhagavad Gita, as we discussed last time, gets over in the first 17 chapters. Here you get a major chunk of the chapter goes for discussing the three modes of material nature also. So let's see. First 12 verses, acting with detachment is true renunciation and brings freedom from reaction. Then 13 to 18, the verses talk about the conclusion of Sankhya and Vedanta. Actions directed by the Supersoul bring freedom from reaction. 19 to 40, the entanglement of the three modes. Then 41 to 48, worshipping the Lord through one's occupational work is true renunciation and brings freedom from reactions. We stopped somewhere here. We'll start from there. Then 49 to 55, from Jnana Yoga to pure devotional service. The entire Bhagavad Gita is actually about Bhakti Yoga only. Slowly Krishna has been building it, one chapter at a time. And then at the end of 18 chapters, it becomes very clear that he's talking about Bhakti Yoga only, pure devotional service. 56 to 60, working in pure devotional service. 61 to 63, surrender to the Super Soul. He's saying there is Super Soul in your heart. He's telling Arjuna, you can surrender to the Super Soul. But then later on, he tells him, surrender to me, which means that Super Soul is none other than me only. Surrender to me. So that message is very direct. 64 to 66, the most confidential knowledge of all. He's saying, just become my pure devotee. Just become a devotee of Krishna. Then 67 to 71, preaching and studying the Bhagavad Gita. And then 72 to 73, Arjuna is firmly fixed. 74 to 78, Sanjaya's prediction. Sanjaya says in the end, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Tat Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayor Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Means wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Partha, there will certainly be opulence, victory, morality, and extraordinary power. Sanjaya says that. So this is where we stopped. We were talking about the like how a person can become perfect just by following the Varnashrama system. So why it was done? The division was done. It was transcendental division. So that we'll understand now in the next few verses. Can someone recite this one, please? Hare Krishna. Vinda Mataji, would you like to recite, Mataji? Vanaja Mataji. Okay, Mataji, go ahead. Please, Vanaja Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sve sve karmanya bhuritas samsiddhim labate naraha swakarma karma niratas siddhi yata vindati tachunu.
Can you read the translation, Mataji?
Farming, cow protection and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas. And for the Shudras, there are labor and service to others. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, you have to read here, Mataji. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now, please hear from me. That Shrunu means Shrunu means hear. Please hear from me how this can be done. So now he'll explain how, by following the qualities of work, because every person has his own nature. So how that person can become perfect. That's explained here. Very nicely, this shloka tells that. Can someone recite this one, please? Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं सर्वकर्मणा तमभूर्च्यो सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
Own duty. By worship of the Lord, who is source of all beings and who is all pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. So whatever is our nature, he's saying, Krishna, whatever is your nature, stick to that. If someone is Rajasic, if you give him a work of Brahmana, he will become very restless. He cannot do. We saw the qualities of a Brahmana, qualities of a Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So some people have those qualities, and a person who has all the Brahmanical qualities, if you give him a weapon and say, go fight for the country, just put him in a very violent situation, he will not be able to react. It's going to be very disturbing for him. Same way, if a Kshatriya can suddenly will not become sannyasi. So artificially, you cannot do anything. So that is the principle of Varnashrama system, that all people should cooperate with each other to attain perfection. How? By following their own nature and following the prescribed duties given to them. So that's what he's saying. Don't artificially renounce anything. You cannot become a sannyasi, but that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to run away because Brahmana has some nature. If he artificially pretends to be a sannyasi or Brahmana, there also if something happens, he'll pick up his weapon. So that's what will happen. Nothing will change from inside. So we should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord by following the prescribed duties given. And ultimately, what purifies a person is bhakti, devotional service. So for Arjuna, this war is more than duty, actually, that's where the conversation is heading now. This is more than a duty. He said, you do your duty, all that was spoken, but now this is what he's doing on the battlefield is nothing but devotional service, because he knows he's not the body, he's not just a designation. His eternal position is that he should serve the Supreme Lord. He has to fight because he has to please Krishna. So all this comes under serving the Lord, and this is more than a duty as a Kshatriya. So slowly is understanding that. Can you please recite this one, Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
18.47 Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmatsva anushtitat swabhava niyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilvisham. Translation: It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So the duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra are already prescribed. Everything is already given in our Vedic system. So now according to that particular mode of nature, whatever they have acquired, they should be engaged in that particular occupation. We cannot imitate each other's occupation. That's what Krishna is saying. So ultimately we have to work to satisfy the Lord only. There is, if they're performing all this, whatever we do for personal sense gratification will definitely cause bondage. But here he's telling, we should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord in such a way that we serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. Because Arjuna is fighting for the sake of Krishna. Why Krishna wants this war, he has understood now. Because he is trying to remove the burden from this earth, He wants to vanquish all these people who are on the adharmic side. So he's understanding that. So he's trying to be a part of that whole picture, the whole agenda, Krishna has. He just wants to be an instrument now. So when we are following according to our own nature, following the prescribed duties and following all the instructions given properly, then what happens is there is no cause of bondage. So we won't incur any sins. That's what Krishna is telling. Now, in this slide, we can see they have their own nature. A monkey has its own nature, elephant is different, penguin is different, fish is different. This is just to say that a Brahmana cannot imitate a Kshatriya, Kshatriya cannot imitate a Shudra. It's not vice versa. Like here, saying first, whoever climbs the tree first is the winner. But how the elephant can climb? For monkey, it's very easy. For penguin, it's difficult. Fish cannot even survive outside the water. See, they are all like, you can see some of them, they're bewildered. How can they? You cannot measure success like this. So that's the whole point. Okay, please recite this one, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. 18.48. Saha jama karma kaunteya sadasham api na tyajate sarvarambha hi doshena dumena grir ivartaha. Translation. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Now he said, follow your own nature, do your occupational duty, all that. But now he's saying, no matter what you do, that work will be contaminated. How in conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. Brahmana, sometimes he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. It was done actually. Brahmanas were involved in animal killing. They were supposed to be very non-violent, but the work was like that. So that there is contamination there. And Kshatriyas, they're fighting enemies. Right? They cannot avoid violence at all. They'll be killing thousands and hundreds of people. And that is again violence. So that is also contamination. And sometimes this Prabhupada is explaining so nicely. This Vaishyas, what happens to make profit, sometimes they have to lie. It is part of their business. There is nothing illegal about it, but they have to be clean about their transactions. There should be any, the honesty is important. At the same time, he makes profit, and sometimes he has to hide his, if he makes extra profit, because it's all business, he'll have to hide a little money here and there. That all that is part of business, not in a big scale, but merchant does it. To make profit, he does certain things. So all that is contamination only. You cannot avoid completely. It cannot be clean. There will be some disturbance. Same way, Shudra also, he has to just follow his master's order. Whatever the master says, the Shudra will do. And what if the master is giving wrong instructions where this Shudra is doing something really wrong and that is pushing him to hell? It can happen. So, but still he'll be doing it because he's just following the orders. He doesn't know what he's doing. So there is disturbance. So in spite of all this, Krishna is saying, just carry out your natural occupation, because prescribed duties are born out of your own nature. In spite of having all the disturbing elements, don't give up your prescribed duty. So what is the way we can be purified? See, when we're just following whatever Krishna is saying according to scriptures, the results of the work will be automatically purified. And if everything is connected to devotional service, then such a person will automatically become perfect. And such a person, slowly following the prescribed duty and following everything properly, he'll reach a stage where he'll start seeing the self within. He'll understand who am I, what am I. Slowly he'll climb the ladder, and there comes a point where he will attain self-realization. It's going to happen, but they have to follow the instructions. That's what Krishna is saying here. Then summary of this is E. Section E. Confidential knowledge from reaction-free work through Jnana Yoga, Brahman platform, and pure devotional service. So he's saying one practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, detached work, attains goodness. Nishkama Karma Yoga will lead him there, and the knowledge that he is not his body. It's like a yoga ladder. He goes one step higher and he realizes, I'm not the body. Because people are working at the bodily platform, it's very difficult to tell them, They cannot understand transcendental knowledge. They cannot even think beyond their, fruitive activities. But this will slowly take them there if they're following all these instructions. And he'll finally attain the Brahman platform. So, there are 3 steps of realization. He'll attain that. By serving Krishna on this platform with devotion, one reaches the kingdom of God. So, it is going to take him one step at a time, and he will reach kingdom of God. Now see, from Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga, who can engage in Jnana Yoga? One who is self-controlled and completely unattached can engage in Jnana Yoga. In 3rd and 4th chapter and 5th chapter, we discussed the yoga ladder. From there we understand this. So this is practicing renunciation. And what's the result? One can attain the highest stage of freedom from reaction, because that is the major problem. If what is the cause of bondage? Why are we taking different bodies? Because of sinful reactions. We are collecting so much punya, either papa or punya. We're stuck in that cycle. We have to come out of that to actually stay on the liberated platform and actually go back home. So that is why all this information. Now, so what is real renunciation? One, that means we should always think of ourselves from all the information that we have gathered as part and parcel of the Lord, and think that we have no right to enjoy the results of that work. And, no fear also of the reaction. No, why no fear? It is like this. Say, for instance, you are working for a boss. The boss says, do this. Okay. Like, for instance, let us take on a simple level. Maybe we have a, some helper or someone. We tell them, today you have to do this. 3 things you have to do. He will just do this and go home. So he is not, what happens after that, the reaction, the owner is taking. So just like that, if you follow all the prescriptions given, the reaction is assumed, Krishna assumes the reaction. So that person is not getting any, is not affected. So such a person will not be attached also to the work. He'll just do it as a duty. And so what is happening here is, this person who actually is following all this instruction, he will stop being attached to material things. And then he will slowly reach a stage, will start, he'll come to a place of transcendental happiness by just serving the Lord. And he'll be so satisfied just working like this. He'll be so totally satisfied. But Krishna actually is taking us towards Krishna consciousness by, he says, practice renunciation while working. That is the point. That is the highest stage of a sannyasi, akarma. So our activities have to be on that platform, akarma. So working, but working for Krishna. What is this actually? Buddhi Yoga means we are applying our intelligence in the process of devotional service, which is nothing but Buddhi Yoga. So this will become clearer in the next few slides. See, Lord Krishna is now going to summarize how one can achieve supreme perfectional stage, Brahman. What is the Brahman platform? He's going to explain. Supreme perfectional stage, stage of the highest knowledge. How can a person attain that? Anybody in Krishna consciousness can easily, it's already on a Brahma platform. Now, what is he saying? He's saying simply renounce the result of work for the satisfaction of the Lord, and work in your own occupational duty, perform the duty for the Lord, and you'll reach the highest perfectional stage of Brahmabhuta platform. And if a person actually reaches that stage, that means he's actually self-realized. That's what Prabhupada says. So what is self-realization? If you go into the market and buy so many books and hear so many lectures, we'll be so confused. What is self-realization? What is this Brahman platform? But actually, Prabhupada says, if a person who is constantly thinking of Krishna and actually, in Krishna consciousness, such a person, who is elevated in this platform, he's actually self-realized and is already in a very Brahman stage. So we'll understand what platform that is and how a person will be in that stage. So that is perfection of knowledge. What is perfection of knowledge? Understanding that we are parts and parcels of Krishna, and we just have to satisfy him only. How to achieve supreme perfection, Brahmabhuta platform, and peacefulness. How? Controlling the mind with determination, purified by intelligence, giving up sense objects, freedom from attachment and hatred. All this is, Krishna consciousness itself is so purifying. that all this, everything is taken care of. And then living in a secluded place, eat little and control his body, mind, and power of speech. Freedom from all bad qualities born of material conceptions. What are those here? False ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, acceptance of material things, and false proprietorship. Such a person is always in trance and detached. Thus, one achieves the supreme peace. A person who has reached the stage is in supreme peace. So, analogy for peace is given. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still. So the river, constantly the ocean is being filled, but it is not really disturbed. Once there was this example of some deity being installed, a new temple was worshipped, opened, and there the new devotees, neophytes, they were making mistakes. And then so Prabhupada had to keep on correcting them. And at the end of the day, they wanted to find out if they were actually, they were able to satisfy Prabhupada's whatever his desire was. He wants everything to be happening properly because these people are very new. They don't know how to offer prasad also because they had cut up all the fruits. He wanted the fruits to be offered whole. They had already chopped all the fruits. So like this little silly mistakes they had made and Prabhupada kept on correcting. And at the end of the day, they went and spoke. One devotee went and spoke to Prabhupada and he looked very peaceful and very relaxed. So he wanted to know what Prabhupada thought. Prabhupada says, a spiritual master, he gives this analogy. He's like, externally look like giving instruction that this, but it runs very deep, inside they're very peaceful and blissful. They will not be disturbed. They will always be in a transcendental situation. Sorry about it. So that example he gives, saying that just like how ocean is not disturbed, it remains still, like that it runs deep. The spiritual master gives instructions, but don't worry, I'm quite happy. And it's his duty to correct the students so that everything happens properly. We also, if you see in a normal situation also, when we go to a school, our teachers keep on correcting. Our handwriting is wrong, they'll correct our handwriting. If you are not doing something right, they will tell us this is wrong, you have to do it this way. Because of all those instructions only, we actually succeed materially also. Same way, that's the spiritual master's position. He is always in a peaceful mode. He is always in peace. So again, the same concept is explained very beautifully here. Let's go through this verse. Please recite this one. Hare Krishna. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madabhaktim labhate param. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So a person who is self-realized, who is situated in self-realization, who is on a Brahma Bhuta stage. There is no contamination of material modes, mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance. If he is looking angry also, we cannot say, oh, he's become ignorant. No. He's actually, there is no contamination. Such a person is always 24 hours is joyful, peaceful. He's a pure soul, prasannatma, pure. He attains pure bhakti of the God. So Krishna is saying, always be conscious of me, means work in Krishna consciousness. How do we work in Krishna consciousness? Under the guidance of a pure devotee. Then the life becomes successful. Our endeavors also become perfect. And then we'll reach a stage where we'll be like this, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. And such a person is given here. Neither laments nor desires to have anything. He will not have material desires. He'll be working perfectly. He'll not, you see, I saw today somebody had forwarded something, how a person in, elevated person, Krishna conscious, behaves and how a person in a normal situation behaves. They don't have patience. They can't wait 10 seconds, 20 seconds. They're so disturbed. They get disturbed very easily. But a person who is actually transcendently situated externally, internally, is not at all disturbed. And when he looks at everyone, like you see in this image, he looks at everyone as spirit souls, nothing more. Because he knows the Paramatma is in everyone's heart. So, he's reached a stage which is beyond the three modes of material nature. And here, Brahma Bhuta platform. One who is transcendently situated, fully joyful, never laments or desires to have anything, equally disposed towards every living entity. Are we on this stage? It is easy to talk theory, but people actually, when you actually practically, when you look around, we'll see the difference. So we have to keep checking. So how do we reach this stage? And a person easy in this stage will know. Then one attains pure devotional service unto me, equally disposed towards every living entity. No, neither being hateful nor being attached. We have many examples like, see this, we have discussed Haridas Thakur's example. When he was chanting in his little kutir, this prostitute shows up. He did not feel disgusted at her at all. This is just another soul. If anybody else would have felt disgusted, normally, no, why is this dirty person coming into my house? But he was not, neither hatred nor attachment, nothing. He just let her sit there. And then what happened, we know. She saw how great he was, what a saintly person he was, and she was transformed. So that is when a person is in this Brahma Bhuta platform. So now another thing is Brahma Bhuta stage. For an impersonalist, his goal is this stage, becoming one with the absolute. But for a personalist who wants to have a relationship, a pure devotee, he'll go one step higher. He's not looking for becoming one with the absolute. He wants to engage in some service with the Lord. So state of oneness means it's like all you see in Krishna book also, all the gopis and gopas, we can say they're all in the state of oneness because their goal is to see Krishna happy. Krishna smiles, they are happy. It's like that, the unity. There is unity because they have love for Krishna. What is the common factor there? Love for Krishna. That is oneness. So that is what we are talking about. He just wants to render service, be with Krishna. So working for sense gratification will always cause some misery. And such a, this world is like that. Materially infected person will always be in some kind of misery. But a person who is in the stage of liberation, there is no misery for him. Okay, he's in this platform. It is like Prabhupada gives this example. He's like a river cleansed of all dirty things. A pure devotee is like that. He will not have any dirty thoughts or dirty, he is towards everyone, he has equal vision. So that is like a river cleansed of dirty things. So because he's constantly connected with Krishna, his thoughts are connected with Krishna. So that's the only thing he has, constantly thinking, because you see all these Goswamis, 24 hours they were thinking about Krishna, nothing else. Even when they are, if you look at them, they may look like they're just sitting and, like when we are sitting, we'll have so many thoughts running on in our mind. But Visrupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, even like every second they were thinking about Krishna, some pastime would be running in their mind, some pastime of Krishna. That's all. It happens, right? One day we will discuss that also. One day Rupa Goswami was sitting and laughing. He was just, because in his mind he was thinking about Krishna and some pastime. He was laughing. There's a person walking by and he thought, is he laughing at me? So it's like that. To that extent, they were purified. Nothing other than Krishna. And their senses are also completely under control. And Prabhupada writes, it is like a serpent with broken teeth. So they are not even in fear, like, they're not, it's very difficult for a normal person. That's why we have to stay in the association of devotees. If you are in the wrong association, very soon they'll say, oh, come, let's go for a movie, let's go for that, let's go for this, or something. The talks will go here and there, politics everywhere. And then, the whole day or this contamination in the mind, and there's no peace, nothing. So such a person whose senses are controlled, he has no fear. from the senses, because naturally is controlled, because he's already in Krishna consciousness. That is a devotee's situation. And another thing we saw was there is no differentiation. The highest personality or one little ant that is walking by. He doesn't see any difference between the two. That is also a living entity. This highest personality who's sitting on a throne is also a living entity. They're able to see, and gold and stone. They don't see, oh my God, oh, this is gold. This is just a stone. Nothing like that. They don't see any difference. Gold or stone are of equal value, and if it has any value, it will have some value attached to Krishna only. If that can somehow serve Krishna, then it has some value. Otherwise, they won't see it as a materially, they're not attached to anything. So that is the stage. So how do you achieve that stage? That mercy, that everything has to come from Lord Chaitanya, and then who has given us the mantra for, he's like distributing Krishna Prema. He says, just chant, follow this, and you'll reach that stage. So prescription is already there for us. It is so easy. So what has been preached for us is pure devotional service, and we'll reach this stage very easily if we just hear, chant, and follow all the instructions. So this is another beautiful verse. Please recite this one.
Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tattvatata tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This shloka says Krishna cannot be understood on just by speculating, sitting and speculating, or scholarship. I read so many books. I will understand Krishna now. It doesn't happen like that. He does not reveal himself to everyone. We can see that. Like when I'm just giving an example, when early morning, when 8 a.m., when we switch on, when Namanishta Prabhu starts talking, he'll go beyond 9 and 9:10, 9:15 sometimes. You can see how elevated the discussion is. It's like that 1 hour flies by, and he's completely, we can make out he's really elevated. And a person like, the others, sadhakas, he's already, been there because of chanting and hearing and giving these classes and distributing Krishna consciousness. We can see the difference, right? And who is artificial, who is not, who is actually practicing. Will Krishna's mercy has to work. Krishna does not reveal himself so easily to everyone. We also have to work hard. Like Prabhuji was saying, I can say I'm Krishna's friend, but does Krishna want to be my friend? Is a different question. Because do we have that qualification? He has to have. It's a relationship is both ways. Like this, it's saying only a bhakta mam abhijanati. Who can understand me? A devotee. Only he can understand me. Otherwise, it's not easy. So how do we actually, gain his mercy? By performing bhakti under a pure bhakta. We have to follow the guidance of a pure devotional, devotee. Like, coming from the parampara the system we have these great acharyas guiding us. If you are taken Prabhupada's shelter, that means all the acharyas before him, we have their mercy also. By that mercy, we'll get Krishna's mercy. So Krishna is saying, that's how we'll understand him. And another thing he says, Vishate means enter into me, which means entering into his abode. It doesn't become, we'll all go mix and become homogeneous liquid. No, that's what people think. Impersonal Brahman, just go merge into that and lose your identity. No, that's not what this sloka means. It means you can actually reach my abode. That's what he's saying. You can actually enter the kingdom of God, which is Goloka Vrindavana. There are plenty of Vaikuntha planets. He's talking about the Vaikuntha planets. He's talking about Goloka Vrindavana when he's talking about the kingdom of God. So It is another example is if a green bird goes and sits on a green tree, it look like green, but doesn't mean the green bird has become mixed up with the tree, right? It is still independent. It is just enjoying the fruits of the tree and all that. So that's how our situation is. We'll not go and merge into something. We'll still remain independent. As a independent individual, we'll just be serving the Lord if we enter the kingdom of God. Like how you see here. See, these are all Vishnu Dutas, and they get to see Vishnu sometimes. It is so beautiful. So once the lust, greediness, and all the material desires vanish, and our heart becomes like a heart of a devotee, then we actually can become attached to the Lord, and by His mercy, He'll reveal Himself, and we'll also become liberated. Liberation means, Prabhupada says, becoming free from misconceptions of this material life. So we're actually beyond that stage. Okay. Discussion in the purport. This is what is discussed in text 55. All the points are condensed here. How one's devotional service begins after achieving Brahmabhuta stage by hearing from the Lord. Right from chapter 7, he's been stressing on it. How does devotional service begin? Hearing, just by hearing and hearing and hearing. And we are hearing so many things. We don't realize that, oh, I heard 10 minutes of this, half an hour of Bhagavatam. I heard. That doesn't work like that. We have to work really hard. We have to avoid, don't hear wrong things. We have to be very careful where we are giving our ear to, because whatever we are hearing, we're actually imbibing those qualities. So we have to be careful. And this person who is a Brahma Bhuta, Prasannatma, and beyond all that, since he is attached to Krishna, see, whatever we are associating with, we are, we'll start becoming that. And Krishna is always joyful. This person is constantly connected to Krishna, so he is also joyful. So that's what will happen. What is the effect of hearing? Brahma Bhuta stage develops. Material contamination decreases. One can understand the Supreme Lord. So all this will happen by hearing. Then Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation or by non-devotees. We can say, I'll write this exam, that exam, I'll reach this course, that course, I finished all the courses, now I am ready to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Doesn't work like that. We are just preparing ourselves, but ultimately it is up to Krishna. Will he allow us there? It's totally up to him, and depends how much we have purified. So it is not like we write ordinary exam. We take a degree in school, we finish 10th standard, and then go to. It doesn't work so easily. But a platform has been given to us where we actually can progress. That is there. But our heart, Krishna knows. That we should always know. Erudite scholarship or mental speculation or university degrees fail to reveal absolute truth. Only way to know Krishna is pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Without devotional service, absolute truth is always hidden. Whatever we do without devotional service, devotion, bhakti actually involves some work for Krishna. So that much is clear. What is eligibility to understand the absolute truth? Now, summary of section F. Working in pure devotional service, one on the platform of devotion should work under the order of the Lord, fully depending on Him and being fully conscious of Him. That was our Prabhupada himself. The way he was conducting himself, we could see completely dependent on the Lord and is completely conscious of Krishna. He was just following the orders of his Guru. So much faith in the Lord, so much faith in his spiritual master. We can read his Leelamrita and understand, the kind of determination he had. We can't go to the next city without planning so much, You have to book a hotel room, I need money, I need transportation, I need how much planning goes. Little things also we plan so much. And Prabhupada started this movement. We can just, just by hearing about his, how all this came into existence, how we built all these temples. If we go through all that and how we transformed each person's life, we can understand, he was not normal, not an ordinary person at all. So one will thus be free from the control of the modes of material nature. All his activities were transcendental. So please recite this one, Hare Krishna. Vinda Mataji, would you like to go, Mataji?
Yes,
Okay,
Mataji.
the both of you are unmuted. So nice. Please take turns. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Vanaja, Mataji, you may recite.
Okay. Sarva karmanyaphi sata kurvano mada. That one only, no, Mataji? 50
Yes,
seconds.
Mataji. Sarva karmani api sada.
Yeah,
Correct.
sarva karmanyaphi sata kurvano madavya vyapashrayah mat prasadad vapnoti shashwatam padam avyayam. Though engaged in all kind of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode of my grace. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. They are engaged in activity, all kind of activities. You see, there was book distribution also, cleaning the temple also, serving the Prabhupada also, cooking prasad, everything. It was not like one job is inferior, one is superior. No, like modes of, every person has his own nature. Some person can do one work better than the other. So Prabhupada used to delegate accordingly. He said, you do this, you write this, you go, you become the, you take care of all the printing work, and like this, you do the journal work, you write this, that. Everybody is to delegate work according to, he knew exactly which disciple is nature, where he can engage him, how to, guide him. So beautifully he did it. Sometimes he was not even physically present, but he still did it. So though engaged in all kind of work, his devotees are under protection, and they will definitely not perish. And now you can see all the devotees, how happy they look just in the presence of Prabhupada. They are so happy. They didn't leave him, right? One or two left, but you know how it is. Thousands of people attached to Prabhupada. If you read his book again, they used to drop him at the airport. They would be there. They would, tears would be there in their eyes. It's like as if, a child letting go of the parent. He's traveling to another place. But these people will stand there and watch until the plane takes off. They have so much affection for Prabhupada. Like that is so, it is not fake. You cannot fake all that, right? So natural affection, natural love for the spiritual master. They're really happy to serve him. So that is this situation here. So acting in Krishna consciousness means acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord, acting, being very faithful to the spiritual master, like just like a servant. But we cannot do anything independently. We have to be taking instructions, working through the spiritual master, and that is perfect Krishna consciousness. And such a person is actually qualified to enter Krishna Loka. That's what he says. Krishna will definitely allow him. It's like our only mercy is through Prabhupada. If we ever reach, it is like because of him. That's how it is. Okay. Lord's protection. I personally protect my devotee from all reactions and lead him directly to the supreme abode. So just becoming a devotee, Krishna saying, you just become a devotee, don't worry about anything else. So slowly he's getting to that. In next few shlokas you will see and how the instructions get very clearer. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee is always under my protection. He reaches the eternal abode, my grace. What is the nature or quality of service? No time limitation for a pure devotee. 24 hours engaged in the service of the Lord. They feel like they have no time. In a sense, Prabhupada barely used to sleep. He thought there is not enough time for him to finish all the upwards, translations and all that. He said, time is running short. So every second he wanted to use in the service of the Lord. So that was his consciousness. Sometimes he would write several pages. He used to write from midnight till morning, He barely like 2-3 hours of sleep. He used to constantly write and do many things. Sometimes so much, sometimes just 2 lines, because these are all transcendental purports. It is not coming from his mind. So he says Krishna himself is dictating all this. Whatever is written is coming from Krishna. He says sometimes he himself reads his own purports, studies his own purports, because these are all instructions coming, from a transcendental platform. Nature of the abode is unchangeable, eternal, imperishable, full of knowledge. Now, significance of Mad Vipacharya means under the protection of the Lord. How does this protection come? Pure devotee acts under the direction of Supreme Lord or is representative. Then we are directly under the protection of the Lord. Right, following all this. And here we are talking about Draupadi here, how she was completely protected by Krishna. All the Pandavas were completely protected by Krishna. So they are you see how transcendentally peaceful they were. Krishna book says that we think Pandavas were in such a miserable condition. They are in the forest. They are here, they are there, they are struggling. But it looks like they are struggling. But actually, if you read Bhagavatam, we understand they were actually in transcendental peace because Krishna was there with them. They were completely dependent on him. They had his counsel. He was advising them. He was personally there in their presence. So they were actually very peaceful, it says. In all activities, just depend upon me. Work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. We think materials are protecting us. This person will protect me. My parents will protect me. Husband will protect me. Husbands, see your husband, 5 husbands will protect me. We think we'll make ourselves so comfortable. Then everything will be fine. How much a person may be the wealthiest person, but still he'll have some anxiety. We never know. So many things happen. This material world is full of contamination. But we see who protected Draupadi, the Lord. Without his mercy, it wouldn't have happened. She called him Govinda, and he was there. So we just put our faith in wrong places, whereas only Krishna, his mercy only can protect us. So what happens is, why this point is coming here, because a person in Krishna consciousness will understand that he is not the master of this world. We think we can control everything. Like Hiranyakashipu thought, oh Hiranyakashipu, what did you think? I will become the master of this planet. I will become master of this world. I want to rule. I'll become so big. So this one, it doesn't work like that. A person, a devotee knows he's not the master. He's just a faithful servant, working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. So servant has no individual independence at all. So he knows that. So he's not even affected. Whatever he's doing, he's not worried about the profit or loss or anything. So why all this discussion? Again, because Arjuna, who is actually working under the guidance of Krishna, he does not have to worry about profit, loss, all this. In the beginning, he had all these doubts. He was put under illusion. So he said many things, several things. Now, working under direction of Krishna, what is happening to him? He just wants to satisfy the Lord. Mat paraha means there is only one goal, satisfy Krishna, act in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna. So he understands, oh, this is Krishna's order. That is my prime duty. So I just have to get up and fight. I will do it because he wants me to do it. So then the whole endeavor, everything is perfect. Because Krishna says whether you fight or not is not going to make any difference. All of these people, none of them are going home except you 5 little Pandavas. Few people, nobody is going home. So he's able to understand. Arjuna is actually able to understand how he's supposed to act on the battlefield now. Okay, please recite this one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
58. Machchitta sarva durgani mataprasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashrosya yasi vinakshasi. Translation: If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Just
Krishna.
now we discussed that we have to be dependent on Krishna. Like a person, a devotee who is in Bhakti Yoga, completely, Krishna conscious, depends on Krishna. But still, a person may get, it's so fearful. The situation is so fearful, right? But here, Krishna is promising. He's telling, if you become conscious of me, have no doubt, you will not be lost. He's telling. For a devotee who acts in Krishna consciousness, he's saying he is going to be his intimate friend. Okay, he'll always look after his friend. He'll carry his burdens. This is Krishna's promise. So he's saying that if you do not hear me, if you act out of your own pride, false ego, and if you don't have any trust in my words, you are going to perish. That is Krishna's verdict. Okay, let's see. Lord Krishna's mercy. If you become conscious of me, he's saying, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. Otherwise, you will be bound. We'll again take another body, again continue our suffering. Krishna consciousness is free from all anxieties, not unduly anxious, but executing the duties of his existence. And Krishna becomes his friend and looks after his comfort completely. Now, Prabhupada, somebody asked him, you had to go through so much suffering and so much trouble to bring this movement and live here and there and all this. He gave very simple answer. He said, no, Krishna was actually taking care of me. That's so true, isn't it? He was making prasadam every Sunday, distributing to these hippies. He was taking classes. Krishna actually took care of him. If you go through that from 70 to 82, what happened? Krishna was actually helping him at every step. His mercy was there. Sometimes he didn't give up. He was very determined. Many times there were times when he thought, should I go back? There were times because it happens, but then nothing. It just everything fell into place, and Krishna was actually there guiding him. And then because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master, he had complete faith in the spiritual master's words. So everything did come true. Otherwise, conditioned soul is always under strict material laws. Very nice. Okay, this is text 15. Acting under Krishna or illusion. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and his duty is to fight for dharma. Even if he avoids to fight, the modes will force him to fight. Even if he doesn't want to fight, he is going to fight only. That's his nature. If you do not act according to my direction and not fight, then you will be falsely directed to by your nature and you will have to be engaged in warfare. He has to, because that's his nature. So here, conclusion is unhesitatingly execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that will keep one safe under all circumstances. Just like if a child has complete trust in the parent, the child will just do whatever the parent says. So blindly he'll follow. It's like when a person is completely dependent on the coach and who is guiding him at every step, what happens? The child will actually succeed. So like that, and the parent will keep the child safe. So what is the example of acting according to nature? Arjuna as a Kshatriya has natural duty to fight. Why refusal to fight was under false ego? Because he was fearing that by killing his relatives, he would incur sinful reactions. So this was also a person, in illusion, that's how he thinks. But then that was a fear. But now he is not going to incur any sins. All these points are cleared. There's no illusion in him anymore. So what is the forgetfulness of a conditioned soul? Forgetting the relationship with the Lord and considering himself as the master of his actions. Oh, I am doing this. If I do this, something will go wrong and I will have to face the problem. That was his problem. So he thought he is the master of the whole killing business. But then now he knows he's not the only one who is part of this. So we saw the 5 factors involved. all that he knows now. So he knows what exactly he should do. He should execute the order, act in perfection, just act in Krishna consciousness, and he'll be safe under all circumstances, because Krishna is saying just blindly do it. To what extent they used to believe him, and Bhima, all of them. Yudhishthira Maharaj, of course, when Krishna said something, he was, he didn't want to. He said, "Oh, is that going to be a lie?" He didn't want to lie. That happened. But Bhima also was a great devotee. In the sense, once there is some astra that is coming towards Bhima, and Krishna just notices that, and he will just tell him, "Oh, Bhima, fall on the ground." And Bhima doesn't know that astra is coming. Since Krishna is telling fall on the ground, he'll fall on the ground. He'll just do it. And then he'll get up and say, "Why did you say to fall down?" And then he'll realize, "Oh, because he wanted to save me. That's why he said fall." He didn't ask, "Why are you telling me?" He didn't ask him at all. Blindly. Just jump, he'll jump. Fall. That much complete faith in Krishna. And they were kept safe. Nothing happened to them. Krishna was protecting them. Okay, if you do not follow my orders, what will happen? Okay, again, this point is stress. You will be compelled to follow the orders of lower nature. Anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. Now, Arjuna is voluntarily engaging himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord. He's going to do that. Krishna will tell him, I gave you all this information, spoke about so many yoga systems, so much information I've given you. So it's up to you. But then Arjuna will voluntarily take up this. Anyone who refuses to act so, he gets compelled to act by the modes. So if we refuse to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then we will be forced to act by the modes in which we are situated in. Either it is mode of goodness or passion or ignorance, we'll be acting accordingly. So summary of section G, more confidential knowledge, surrender to super soul. Now he is not telling you surrender to me. Here he is talking about Krishna. There is, Arjuna. There is Paramatma in your heart. You surrender to him. And then later on, in the most confidential shloka, he says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. He says that. So more confidential knowledge than the knowledge that one is spirit soul is knowledge that one should surrender to the super soul. So it's like, I know I'm not the body, I'm the soul. That is knowledge. And we know Paramatma is in the heart, and there is a relationship between the soul and the super soul. That is the next level. And let's see what's the third level. Okay. Can you please recite this one, Hare Krishna? Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. Who would like to take this? Vanaja Mataji or Vrinda Mataji? Narsingh Prabhu is there, Preet is there. Does anyone else want to recite? Bhavin Mataji, Bindu Mataji. If anyone is, yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Actually, I am not sure much about the shloka. I will try.
Okay.
Ishvara Sarva Bhutani
Bhutanam.
Raddeshi Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Dudani Mayaya.
Maya. Yantra Rudhani Maya. Good Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. He's saying the body is compared to a machine here. He's saying body is just a machine. And he's sitting. The Supreme Lord is in the heart of that machine. So he is directing the wanderings of all living entities. After changing bodies, what is happening? We are forgetting our previous deeds, past deeds. But the super soul who is in the heart knows the past, present, future. He's witnessing all our activities, not just in this birth. Millions of births that I have taken, super soul knows each and everything that we have done. So If, so we are always under the control of the Lord that way. We are not at all independent. And the Lord is giving memory also, forgetfulness also. So he's telling our duty is just to surrender. And that is the meaning of the next verse also. We'll go to the next sloka. Yes. Who would like to recite this one? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Tvam eva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapshyasi shashvatam. O Scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the purpose of knowledge, what is the purpose of all the knowledge? That I am not the body, I am the soul, this Paramatma in the heart, and all this. What is the purpose of all this knowledge? To take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Here again, the example of King Prataparudra is given. King Prataparudra, this sweeping and all is done, all these menial tasks are done by the Shudras. He doesn't have to come on the street without any footwear and sweep, but he understands. No matter how much you grow materially, you are not independent of the Lord, and our position is this. So he understands, but so humble. He's, taking up a service. He does this in front of the chariot, in Ratha Yatra, in Jagannath Puri. He's sweeping the streets when the Ratha was being pulled. So this is his situation because he's completely in knowledge, complete knowledge. He understands he is a servant of the Lord and he's the super soul in the heart. And, this is what we are supposed to do. We take a very humble position. We will just offer Dandavat. So same way, Arjuna has accepted Krishna. And then because he knows Krishna is the supreme abode of all living entities. And it's not just because of his own personal experience. He's also quoting the great authorities like Narad Muni, Asita, Devala, Vyasa. They are also saying, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. He's saying, giving all this information. So Arjuna has accepted the Lord like this, They are not just, though personally they were friends, they were related. He understands who is Krishna very clearly and what he should be doing now. So please recite this one, Hare Krishna. You recited it so beautifully, Preet Mataji. You can try again if you want. Hare Krishna.
Iti te dhanam akyatham guhyat guyyatham ramaya vimrishya tad asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna is such an important shloka. He's saying, I've given you all this information. Now, Guhyam, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Guhyataram, the Lord as a super soul is present in everybody's heart. He's Paramatma and we have a relationship with him. That is Guhyataram. Guhyatamam, the most secret knowledge. The Lord exists as a person. He has very sweet pastimes going on in Vaikuntha planets, Goloka Vrindavana, and we have to just surrender into him. And then he is going to give us 100% protection. He's going to guide us, either him or his spiritual, his representative. He's going to guide us, and just surrendering unto him is what we should be doing. Now, Krishna says, there is no force. You cannot force someone. Oh, my dear person, please love me, love me. You cannot force. That has to come naturally. So what he's saying is, because ultimate goal is love of Godhead. Because a person who is serving the Lord is serving with love. That's what Krishna is looking for, which is natural. Like we saw Yashoda and all these great devotees, the level of attachment and love is beyond imagination also. So that's where we have to reach. So Krishna is telling, I explained everything. I've given you the knowledge of karma, bhakti, gnana. And then he's spoken about all the yoga systems. So what is Brahman? What is the supreme super soul? What is Tyaga, Sannyasa, meditation? How to control the senses? How to control your mind? He's given lot of information. Now he's saying, you know, as you like, you may act. He does not want to interfere with that little independence that we have. He's saying, Yathechasi tatha kuru. Go ahead and do what you want to do. But, you know, the best advice what Krishna gave is surrender unto me. Surrender unto the super soul seated within your heart. That's what he said. The super soul is another than Krishna only. That's what he's telling here. So this is the best instruction for us also. That is coming from the spiritual master, who is a representative, bona fide representative of Krishna. So that is in our interest, self-interest. If we, you know, take shelter of the spiritual master, take surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's what we are supposed to do. He has actually given us this information, but he's given the freedom also. Then section H, the most confidential knowledge. Krishna will reveal the supreme instruction after 18 chapters of finally reaching, you know, after speaking so much, now he's saying something very, very secretive. Guhya, confidential knowledge of Brahman. Guhyatara, more confidential knowledge of Super Soul. Guhyatama, most confidential. Just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Krishna. In 9.34, he said, Manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mam evaishyasi yuktvaivam atmana mat parayanaha. What he's saying, engage your mind always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, worship me, you know, thus being completely absorbed in me, surely you'll attain me, you'll come to me. That was his instruction in chapter 9. So a common person cannot understand the essence of, you know, all this. You know, only a person who is very dear to Krishna can actually understand what Krishna is saying here. This is the most important instruction Krishna is giving. And this is the most important instruction coming from Vedic literature also. What are we supposed to do? Think of the Lord, serve him, pay obeisances to him, worship him, be absorbed in his thoughts. All this is the instruction. So now, after giving this knowledge, let's see what happens. Now, what Arjuna does. Okay, same is repeated here. Manmana bhava madbhakto. Same shloka is repeated. Hare Krishna. 9 point. Okay, so yeah. Please recite.
Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosmi me. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So manmana, concentration of the mind on Krishna. So that is the most confidential knowledge. But a pure devotee of Krishna is thinking of Krishna in his two-handed form, original form. The two hand carrying the flute with the bluish boy, you know, who looks, you know, his complexion is like that, like Shamasundar form, beautiful face with such, you know, beautiful smile, peacock feather in his hair. You know, that is what a pure devotee is thinking about. So one should serve Krishna through all the senses, hearing, chanting, seeing the deity form, picking up flowers, offering respects. So that's what we should do. Offer lighting lamps, dhupa, you know, decorating the deity, all this. The temple devotees who are actually qualified get all this opportunity, and they are very, very fortunate. At home, actually, temple standards are very, very high, but at home we can follow how much ever we can. So if we can engage our senses in his worship, that's what Krishna is advising us to do. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. That is his promise. We have to have complete faith in Krishna. So what are we supposed to do? We should mold our life such that somehow or the other we are thinking of Krishna throughout our day. You know, because all these motivational speakers, they say stay positive, believe in yourself. It is very confusing. Believe in myself, stay positive. But now these instructions are so clear. If you can keep on thinking about Krishna, hear Krishna Katha, that is like medicine in Kali Yuga, they say. Hearing the pastimes of the Lord, it is very purifying for the heart and mind. Very, very purifying. So it may not make sense for a neophyte person. If you go and tell, oh, you are in anxiety, why don't you just hear Krishna's pastime for half an hour? Or why don't you chant for half an hour? We feel like, how is that going to solve my problem? But it is going to solve, it is going to take us one step higher and everything will be revealed. The entire outlook will change. You can see how a person progresses one step at a time, and how he reaches the Brahmabhuta stage where people will ask him for advice because he will become like that, completely transcendental, and other people start trusting him. So from that becoming a victim, playing the victim, to getting onto a transcendental stage. Krishna consciousness can do that, purify a person. That is the Lord's promise. So association is very, very important, and we have to follow all this. So whatever Krishna is advising Arjuna, and whatever Arjuna has understood, and how he is going to follow his path, that is what we are supposed to. That's how we should understand Bhagavad Gita, and that's how we are supposed to implement all the instructions. Okay. Now, please recite this one, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. 18.66 Sarva Dharman na parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasi yami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Now he's telling directly, look Arjuna, just give up all the processes that I have explained so far. Don't worry about all that. I told you about so many things. Just leave all that now. Give up all processes of religion. He's not saying religion. He's talking about religion only. What we have so many our own, faith based on so many things. All that he's saying, just leave all that. Just simply surrender unto me. So that will save you from all kinds of sinful reactions. That's it. Just this much you have to do. So, and then he's saying personally is promising, I shall protect you. Moksha Ishyami Ma Suchaha. Don't have fear. Don't have any doubts. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Don't worry about, you will not have any sins. You will not, nothing. I'm going to give you 100% protection. Don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry. He's giving complete protection. He already has complete faith in Krishna, Arjuna. So simply surrender to Krishna. All kind of other kind of worry is just useless. So that's what this shloka is saying. Now summary of 18.54 to 66. Confidential knowledge of Brahman, more confidential knowledge of Paramatma, most confidential knowledge, devotional service to Bhagavan. What are you supposed to do? Devotional service to Bhagavan. That is saying that's what you are supposed to do. Become my bhakta, just surrender unto me. Now, preaching and studying the Bhagavad Gita. Please recite this one. We have few more verses and we'll be winding up. Don't worry. We'll discuss all the doubts at the end also. Who would like to recite? Idam te.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Idam te na paskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na chakshura vivacham na chamam yo vyasuyati This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Hare Krishna.
Very clear. Hare Krishna Mataji. Very nicely is telling this confidential knowledge. What is the confidential knowledge? You have to become a pure devotee. May not be explained to those who are not austere. He's telling, unless we become austere, unless we are really devoted to Krishna, engaged in devotional service, we become non-envious, we cannot really absorb the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. It's not possible. That's what he's saying. If someone lacks these qualities, austerity, devotion, all this, being envious of Krishna, if somebody is like that, no use talking to them about Bhagavad Gita. They will not be able to appreciate the information, message, nothing. That's what he's saying. So, if somebody who has not understood Bhagavad Gita properly and they start commenting, writing commentary, then that is poison. That is worse than everything. So, without understanding Krishna from the authority, from a pure devotee, one should not even try to comment upon Bhagavad Gita. And if we want to speak about devotional service and talk about this message to somebody who is very envious of Krishna, he's saying this confession may not be explained to those. It's not going to work. But still, devotees are very, very merciful. That's going to come in the next verse. We'll see that. Discussion in the purport. Why different people envy Krishna? Because he is the supreme and nothing is above or equal to him. Envy. In this material world, there's so much envy. Right from a young age, a child is taught, compete with this child, compete with this child. You have to write better than that child. See, that person did something. You must also run that faster than that kid. There's always this, this is they compare and contrast and they create this environment of envy. They don't allow the child to grow in a healthy way, So it's like that. Why does a person envy Krishna? Same thing. Krishna is so. Oh, in Goloka Vrindana, he is the boss. Oh, why can't I be the boss? Why should I serve? So here we are not talking about a master-servant relationship. Doesn't mean it is like. It's not that negative. Krishna is actually completely merciful. His love personified. You will see the pastimes in the Krishna book and in Bhagavatam. You will understand. If somebody is serving him, he is ready to serve that person. He is also ready to wash their feet. He is ready to carry them. That is the kind of loving exchange that is happening between them. Though this person knows Krishna is supreme, but the closeness they have, Arjuna and Krishna, they are very close. So that's how it is. So some people are envious. Who should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita? Envious people who have no faith and those without understanding of Krishna from authority of a pure devotee. They should not comment. Now, okay, few more slides. Let's finish this off. Please recite this one. Hare Krishna.
Ya idham paramam guhyam madbhaktishu abhidhashati bhaktim mai param krutva mam evaishyati ashamshayaha. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So whatever Guhya Tamam, that knowledge he shared with, the supreme secret that he shared with Arjuna, if somebody can explain that supreme secret to a devotee. See, what happens is devotees are very merciful. Sometimes they go, like, have open classes. Krishna said, the person who is not envious of me, no point talking to him. But imagine, there are like 100 people sitting. Out of them, at least 10 or 15 may actually be devotees of Krishna. They may be, with open heart and mind. They may be absorbing everything. So if such a person actually, hears and takes up devotional service, so a person who is explaining devotional service is guaranteed to such a person, and such a person is very, very dear to Krishna, one who is spreading this message, because it is a secret that can take them back home. So, and this is Prabhupada here because that's what he did. He took this information, knowledge to every part of the world. He tried his best. He really succeeded also. And there is Hari, everybody knows Hare Krishna all over the world. Everybody has heard about Krishna. Such a person is very, very dear to Krishna. 18.69, please recite. Hare Krishna.
न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिमे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्यप्रियतरो भुवि. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be one more dear.
If we can help a person, really a person who is really is a devotee of Krishna, because after hearing all this, see, how did we get attracted? Isn't it? Whether it has been 4 years or 5 years or whatever, somebody helped us. Somebody introduces the Prabhupada, somebody introduces the books, and and this message that who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is the absolute truth, everything, such a person, Krishna is saying, is very dear to me because they're actually helping other children also. It's like there is this excellent child in the class who's helping all the others. He wants others also to progress. He is going to make them succeed. That's so beautiful. So, Hare Krishna, please recite this one. Lekha Mataji, would you like to try, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Adhyeshyate cha ya imam dharmyam samvadam avayo jnana yatnena tenaham ishtashyamiti me mati. And I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So he's saying efforts to understand the Bhagavad Gita, that is also very pleasing to Krishna. So we should worship him by intelligence. So, all this, whatever we do, he'll never forget. Even every little 1%, whatever we put in. So that also pleases Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Please recite this one.
Shall I, Mataji?
Yes, Mother, sure.
Hare Krishna. Shraddhavan anasuyascha shrunuyat api yo nara sopi mukta subhalokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the planet where the pious dwell. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, this Prabhupada, like this, devotees of the Lord are very merciful. His disciples, they message everywhere. So, see, some people are not devotees, but they're not envious of Krishna also because they don't know anything. So they're just curious. So they will have some faith. That's why they have come to hear. So such a person can also benefit from hearing, from the bona fide devotee. Then such a person also can wash off all his sins, become free from all sinful reactions, and he can also become a pure devotee. So this is giving a chance to everyone to actually, become, wash off all the sins, come out of all these contaminations, and actually become a devotee of the Lord and reach that stage, ultimate love for the Godhead, ultimate love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the goal, prema. So he's telling this is what pure devotees do, and by doing that, they are helping others also to come out of the sinful reaction, and they will attain to the planets where the pious dwell. Arjuna is firmly in this section J, Arjuna is firmly fixed. Let's see what he says now. Hare Krishna. Please recite. Hare Krishna.
Arjuna Vacha Nashta Moha Smritirlabdha Tvat Prasadhan Mayachyuta Sthitosmi Gatha Sandeha Karishye Vachanam Tava. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So just like how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, actual real knowledge is understanding that every living entity is eternally the servant of the Lord, and we are not the master of this material world, and we cannot lord it over the material nature. That will all make us bound by lust and desires, and will stay in illusion. But now he's a liberated person. He's not under illusion anymore. He's in full knowledge, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, and he is ready to act according to Krishna's desires. He's saying, I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. Sometimes a person who is so much trapped in Maya, he's not just trying to lord over the material nature. Prabhupada explains in the puppet, he says, the last snare of Maya is that it will bewilder the Maya, that person so much that he will think he is only his God. So imagine to what extent he is ignorant. So that's the very scary part. A person can go into so much illusion that he can start thinking that he is only God. But no, in this condition state, birth, death, old age, disease, we are just going through all these miserable conditions because of our own sins and all that. So all this information was given to us. So after hearing Bhagavad Gita, now Arjuna has become free of illusion. This is what actually we should also understand. How Arjuna understood Krishna's plan, we also have to understand. So Arjuna actually understood that Krishna's plan is to reduce the unnecessary increase of all this religious population. So he is ready to fight. And he's going to take his weapons with full conviction. He's going to go and fulfill the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Karishe Vachanam Tava. If he does this, his life will become perfect. And that's what we are supposed to do. Take the instruction and just become perfect. Arjuna's realizations. By your mercy, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory. We forget in this conditioned state, we forget our relationship with the Supreme Lord. What are we supposed to do? Why we are here? We forget everything. But now he's regained his memory and he knows who he is. I'm now firm and free from doubt, prepared to act according to your instruction. How with folded hands he is saying, we can understand his humility and his attitude, everything. So now Sanjaya's predictions. Sanjaya heard everything. Now he'll say something. Hare Krishna. Who would like to read this? We have 2 more slides and we'll finish. Can someone read this, please? Hare Krishna.
Sanjaya said, Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanjaya actually went into ecstasy after hearing all this. He's saying, I have heard the conversation of 2 great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. So Prabhupada says, one who hears Gita from the right source, this is how he'll understand it too. And then this one conversation is so wonderful because Bhagavan is speaking about himself, his energies to the living entity, Arjuna, and who is just not an ordinary living entity. He is the greatest one of the greatest devotees of the Lord himself. So the conversation is between a very, it was on another level. This is all transcendental. So it is like God, Bhagavan is speaking to one of his very intimate devotees. So if we follow the footsteps of Arjuna, we can also understand Krishna. Then our life also will become happy and successful. Our human birth is, for self-realization and for spiritual advancement only. So it's very important that we understand that way. And here Sanjaya now realized everything and he began to understand. He's actually relating all this to Dhritarashtra. So he also says he's telling, the conclusion is that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is going to be victory. So what's going to happen to this battle here on this battlefield? He's openly declaring, he's saying, victory is on their side. He's telling that to Dhritarashtra. O king, when I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I'm struck with even greater wonder and I rejoice again and again. He is just so happy, blissful now. He's gone into ecstasy. He's like, just so beautiful what I saw and what I heard. My hair, my hair is standing. I got goosebumps. That's what he's saying. Sanjaya could see universal form of Krishna also. And now after hearing all this, he knows really so much he knows. And Vyasamuni also actually, he's only composed all this. So he's Vyasamuni is not an ordinary person. He's also a powerful incarnation of Krishna himself. So he also saw, since Sanjaya is his disciple, he got the benediction that he also could see the beautiful form of Krishna, which was exhibited to Arjuna, and he actually enjoyed it repeatedly by just recollecting it. Now 18.78, the last shloka in this chapter. Hare Krishna. Please recite this one.
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Strir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanithir Mathir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. This is my opinion. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So wherever there is Krishna, by chanting Krishna, holy names, and then by following all this instructions given to us in Krishna consciousness, if Krishna is there, then automatically there is everything. Morality also, victory also, there is opulence, there is everything. So he's telling, Sanjay is giving this information now. So just, why don't we allow Krishna into our lives? That's what in the 18 days at the end of 18th chapter, why don't we allow Krishna into our life? How do we allow? By hearing about his pastimes, by actually following the 4 regulative principles, by chanting. Prabhupada says 16 rounds is actually what he's set standard, but people start from 1 round, they go up to 4 rounds, slowly they make progress, and some people go up to 32 rounds and more also. But chanting, it definitely is going to help us because Krishna's name and Krishna, they're non-different. When we are chanting Krishna's name, it means Krishna is already there. So wherever he is, definitely the other things, all this follow. Opulence, victory, power, morality, everything. So we reach the end of the PPT. So let's go over the summary again. Just read this. Acting with detachment is true renunciation and brings freedom from reaction. The conclusion of Sankhya and Vedanta, actions directed by the Supersoul bring freedom from reaction. The entanglement of the 3 modes, worshipping the Lord through one's occupational work, is true renunciation and brings freedom from reactions. From Jnana Yoga to pure devotional service, working in pure devotional service, surrender to the Supersoul, and then the most confidential knowledge of all, become a pure devotee of Krishna. And then preaching and studying the Bhagavad Gita. Now Arjuna is firmly fixed and then Sanjaya's prediction. So we can actually stop this. It took us 1.5 hours, around that much time. It's a very long chapter, that's why we just can't help it.